qualifying had a very heavy rainstorm that only got worse as the session went on. However, everyone was predicting that it would that the rain would abate a little, and that the lap times would begin to tumble, and we'd see the pole taken in the final stages of qualifying. That wasn't the case in cars like Alexis Rainsford and Scott Bates, who set their laps very late in the session, found themselves very far back on the grid, and of course that also some teams that gambled on that the qualifying would have very little rain early on and just get worse found themselves at the front. The other major news item is that Volpe confirmed their two drivers, Zach Duff and Alexis Rainsford. No major surprise there. They also confirmed Packer Carroll as the third driver, and we know that Packer will get at least one run in that car because, of course, Alexis Rainsford is going to run Indianapolis next year, and Packer Carroll will get at least one ride in that car, so we'll have to see how that turns out for him. With most of the rubber on the track washed away, it'll be very interesting to see how this race unfolds. Dan, off to you. Thank you, Lance. As you just mentioned, the Delano Pole Award went to Ethan Everett in the 11, who was one of the first cars to go out during qualifying. Brian Sendak in the 8 was supposed to start second. However, they were having lots of problems with that car in the morning warm-up, and therefore Sendak never took the green flag as a result of some rather severe mechanical problems, we're being told. Not quite sure what. Ethan Everett, you might have noticed, led the field down very, very slowly. That jams up the whole field, forcing some people 3 and 4 wide to avoid making contact with each other. However, coming into the first turn, you think that's going to work well? Absolutely not. They're piling up already. There's a couple of cars off. And coming down to that narrow funnel, coming into 2. Oh boy, they're piling up big time. Let's have a look here. Coming into 1. Taub gets forced wide. That's the blue car on the grass. Scott Hamilton makes it 4 wide, trying to not run into the back of Kurt Pliskin. However, that just makes it an even worse situation because everyone starts piling in here. That's Bates and Alexis Rainsford in that pink car. Scott Bates, that red car, getting by. Danny Savin in the 91 is going to be the only car that gets into this turn 2 pile up here that's going to actually make it, not make it through here. Everyone else in this pile up actually drives away from it except car 91 in this shot right here. There's a couple other cars further back that don't actually get this far. Adrian Devereaux in the 26 and Morgan Hamburg in the 68 are going to make contact. They're going to go off the road. Devereaux is going to beach the 26, Hamburg beaches the 68, and they both need to get a tow back to the pits. Alan Hodges is the car we're going to be looking at from the onboard of Michael Sykes, the two Welsh drivers in the field. Oh boy, this just all just descends to madness. Looks like Sykes just nicks the wall a little bit, but otherwise no damage on car 144. He actually gets away with no damage. He does end up having to stop in order to not hit anybody. However, this was a fairly ridiculous situation. Damian Snyder in car 19, Carlos Donzello in car 22, hard into the wall. It's going to make them easy to tow off the track. They don't even make it to that turn 2 mess. Their race is over after turn 1. There's Leonid Rotter getting a bump from the 19. This is just jamming up the whole field. There goes Taub, there goes Snyder, there's Krikorian in the 9 actually gets through this. There's Zach Duff in the 28 car. Oh boy. There's Scott Bates in the 88, Alexis Rainsford in that pink car. Scott Bates started this race down in 36th, Alexis Rainsford in 34th after lap 1. Bates is running 14th and Alexis Rainsford running 15th. You've got to shout out the breast cancer awareness paint job on Alexis Rainsford's car with the October is All About Pink stickers on the back. Of course, this being an initiative from Lynx, her sponsor. Ethan Everett back up front in car 11, pulling away from the field. And as you can see, the officials normally don't take very kindly to first turn pileups. And as the pole sitter, Ethan Everett has every right to control the pace. However, it's reasonable to say that the very slow speed of that start was what caused that big schmozzle down there in turns 1 and 2. And I don't think he's going to be earning too many friends after this, but at the same time, if the pole man does control the pace and sets a very slow one, you kind of have to be careful going into turn 1, and clearly some people weren't. But kind of hard to comment on this. The officials appeared to agree no penalties were being issued towards the 11 for that start. Tony Durbin is one of the big beneficiaries of this, especially since both the Hodges-Walter cars running for the championship were collected in that mess. He's running 3rd. I normally do not associate the words Tony Durbin and skillful road racer. However, he's clearly picked it up. As we can see right now, he's running in P3 right now behind Mike Whitmore and teammate Everett. Arto Kekkonen moved up to 4th. Tom Delgado has moved to 5th. Marcus Leonard, Lewis Kingston are both quick in the practices. Leon Kennison in the 39 car predicted a win could come soon. Now here's Scott Hamilton in car 444. Well, kind of was one of those people that made a bonsai move into turn 1. Hamilton qualified very well, but there it goes. Inglesby unreliability strikes already, and this team won the very last Master Cup race, but they're going to sit out the first race of the month of October very early on because Hamilton's car does not last more than 2 laps before it finally bites the dust. Kurt Pliskin in car 16 is the first lapped car the leaders come across. Ethan Everett goes by on the right. Pliskin, well, for the most part, being a very generous back marker here as the Everett went by in Canada Corner, turn 12. Coming onto the front straight, he's going to move over to the left, and Mike Whitmore in the 20 goes by. Here comes Tony Durbin in the 33, right on by. And here's Arto in the 14 car, right by. Adrian Devereaux finally gets his car rolling. This is he's in 39th place. Hello, Arto Kekkonen. Wow. Looks like Devereaux just pulled up right in front of Arto Kekkonen, and these two drivers, it's been a little-known rivalry between them. They've had a couple of slings thrown at each other, but Devereaux just pulled right in front of Arto Kekkonen when he was just about to merge coming off the pit lane, even though he was sort of on the racetrack. Marcus Leonard and Kurt Pliskin, they're teammates. Pliskin's a lap car. Leonard's running 6th. Not the way you're supposed to be racing each other, guys. Especially since it's probably going to be you two driving for that team next year. Would kind of be a bit more circumspect. Then again, Marcus Leonard, not exactly the most careful driver out there. Battle for 10th. Morgan Hamburg in the 68 car, not in the lead lap. David Krikorian in the 9, and Matt Taylor is currently running 10th. Little bumper tag there. Matt Taylor promptly shoots him a one-fingered gesture. And DK is going to have to back off just a little bit because Matt Taylor and David Krikorian are apparently getting at it quite early on here. Ethan Everett pits on lap 7, and Mike Whitmore and Tony Durbin both follow him into the pits. Lewis Kingston in the 44 pits as well along with them, and Adrian Devereaux in the 26 car comes in as well to repair the rear end damage he's got. Tom Delgado in the 837 car is pulling an interesting strategy card here. He's staying out an extra lap. Of course, the 55 and the 4 are not on the lead lap at this moment, but we have seen a lot of races at Road America decided on fuel strategy. Ethan Everett leaving the pits, and whoops. Oh, that's going to be rather costly. That's a lot of damage to the right front of that car. A lot of aerodynamic damage to car 11, and that's going to affect him on some of these longer straightaways. And here they come down into Station 5, just around turn 4. Mike Whitmore in car 20 says goodbye, thank you for the lead. Tony Durbin in car 33 is going to make a move as well. Yamino Tenchi in the 831 is pulling an interesting fuel strategy card as well. Adrian Devereaux, not a battle for position. He's just kind of there. Anyway, there goes Whitmore and Durbin. Yamino Tenchi hits the pit lane. Arto Kekkonen repaired that damage up to 3rd, right behind Devereaux, interestingly enough. There's Lewis Kingston. Marcus Leonard having a strong run so far. Going back, there's Leon Kennison. Alexis Rainsford moved up to 9th. Ethan Everett continues to fall back through the field. There's Matt Taylor. He's also dropped back a little bit after DK rammed him off the road a little earlier. Also, Vladimir Simonov really charging through the field in that 232 car. Julian Alexander, Woody Watson, Michael Sykes. That's pretty much the lead group right now. Alexis Rainsford in car number 27 is the fastest car on the racetrack by a fairly significant margin, by a couple tenths of a second. So she is really flying in this October is All About Pink 27. Well, we haven't seen Alexis Rainsford win 4 races in a year. In fact, that hasn't been done in quite a while. It's kind of amazing to hear no driver has won 4 races in a TM Master Cup Series season since 2005. Here's DK, David Krikorian. He's doing a fairly good job this race. He hasn't really had much of a season to talk about. In fact, this year has been a disaster for both him and Flair Motorsports as a whole, even though Jacques Bouvier is in the top 10 in the points. Flair Motorsports, we don't know if that team's actually coming back next year. We know Lennard is moving over to the Ocean Motorsports group. That's with Leon Kennison, Stephanie McGlynn, and Matthias Taub. Of course, that team announced that Taub and Kennison will be their 2 drivers with Lennard, so DK may be running for the Independence Trophy next year. Alan Hodges is still in the lead lap. He's just running in 27th place, trying to salvage a bad day. Lap 15, Mike Whitmore pits from the lead in car number 20. Tony Durbin stays out, interestingly enough. Let's see how that turns out. And Durbin sweeps by with the lead to lead his first lap of the day. So Tony Durbin looking at his first win in a road course in, well, his career. Lewis Kingston pitted there, also along with Tony Durbin on the next lap. This is Michael Sykes in the 144 car. Now, Michael Sykes is leading the Independence Trophy, and interestingly enough, he and Craig Yonser are the only two drivers running for the Independence Trophy to start 5 races. Now, seeing as the Independence Trophy is the best 4 results, Michael Sykes is having a very good run so far, and therefore he's only adding to his total. This is his main challenger for the Independence Trophy, Charlie Waters in the Evans Motorsports 130, owned by Anthony Evans. We think that both Michael Sykes and Charlie Waters will be full-time next year. We'll have to see about that. Tony Durbin and Matthias Taub. Whoa, pit road contact that looked fairly avoidable. The officials normally take a very dim view of that. Well, we're going to have to see about how that turns out. Well, now Adrian Devereaux comes out of the pit lane, and now Devereaux versus Arto Kekkonen, round 2. Except this time, looked like Devereaux just kind of did this one on purpose, because it looked like he just accelerated, hoping to meet Arto there, but it looked like Arto just ran into the back of Devereaux. Well, that's going to take Arto Kekkonen out of the race, and I'll let the graphics speak for itself. Adrian Devereaux and Arto Kekkonen not playing nice with each other, and they're probably off each other's mutual Christmas card lists. Anyway, coming down into turn 1 now. Arto can see Devereaux, he knows where he is, and Devereaux, you notice, suddenly just picks it up and just does not slow down, really, or not as much as he should have, and Arto runs into the back of him. Devereaux is also being quite the road hog. As far as Arto Kekkonen is concerned, he's been fairly generous to everybody else, interestingly enough. I think there's more to this story. Tom Delgado stays out 2 extra laps, so the Nemoto guys are really rolling the dice on fuel mileage, and it appears to be working, because Tom Delgado is slowly moving his way through the field, after falling back on lap 1. Whitmore still holds the lead, Durbin in second. There's Yumino Tenshi. She would be P5 if she didn't hit the pit lane. Or 4th, excuse me. There's Marcus Leonard in the 999 car. Here comes the rest of the field. Scott Bates, Alexis Rainsford, great run so far. Same with Krikorian and Bouvier. Been together for the whole race so far. Drew Eisenman started last, 41st in the grid. He's up to 13th. Great run for him. And you'll see there, the Julian Alexander car is working its way through the field to 0. In 18th place, Michael Sykes in 20th. Charlie Waters, 15th. Here's Adrian Devereaux again. I said he was being nice to everyone else as far as being a backmarker was concerned. Here's the evidence. Notice how he let everybody but Arto Kekkonen pass him cleanly, and Devereaux is 2 laps down, and he kind of knows that he's not really a factor anymore, so he's moving out of the way. Isn't that nice? Okay. Jacques Bouvier apparently doesn't appear to like Adrian Devereaux too much. Not sure why he tapped the back of the 26 car there. Alexis Rainsford in the 27 car and Stephanie McGlynn in the 37. Currently the most interesting battle on the racetrack. We've had a bit of a battle going on before, but Alexis Rainsford has been reeling in Stephanie McGlynn, but McGlynn just appears to be a little bit faster under braking, so that could be an interesting story. Apparently the brakes wearing out on the 27. Here is Tom Delgado, and right behind him, Leon Keniston. I wouldn't be at all surprised if we see one of these 2 men win a TM Master Cup Series race in the very near future. Have to keep an eye on both of them. Delgado has been fast all week, and so has Leon Keniston. And however, Keniston's specialty is short tracks, and I don't think there's any of those left in the calendar. Anyway, Mike Whitmore hits the pit lane on lap 19. That's a little early, I think. Well, we're going to have to see how this turns out. Apparently, everyone else thought that strategy was a little bit strange. No one stopped with him. Drew Eisenman in the 31 car makes a 3-wide pass going into Station 5, and there is Matt Taylor in the 12 and Matthias Taub in the 38 who's giving way and letting them go around this corner. Turn 6, however, Matt Taylor and Drew Eisenman don't give each other enough room. They both collide. Taylor and Eisenman off the road. Matt Taylor's car actually launched over the wall. Eisenman is going to have to get a tow back to the pit lane. Most everyone else pitted on lap 20. Lewis Kingston, there's Marcus Leonard in the 999 car. I think that was Bates that stayed out. There's Rainsford. No, that was McGlynn, excuse me. I don't know how I could mistake those two cars. Anyway, doesn't look like too many other people are pitting this lap. Looks like everyone else is going to decide. There's Simonov in the 232. Alexander, I think, just went by. There's Johans. So it looks like some people are pitting on lap 20, but looks like we'll have a bigger crowd on lap 21. Here's Tony Durbin leading the lap 21 brigade. There's a smoking car in the background. That's Adrian Devereaux. Apparently something's gone wrong with the 26 car, so he's blown it up finally. He's going to put himself out of everyone else's misery. There is that's McGlynn. There's Delgado again staying out. So Tom Delgado using some very good fuel-saving tricks. There's Devereaux leading the two Lennard mates of Krikorian and Bouvier. There's Taub, Kazuyama having a decent run. And there's Alexander in the Alex Harrison black and neon yellow Zero car. And that's Michael Sykes in the white car. There's Mike Whitmore in that yellow car coming by the pit lane. And there's Lewis Kingston on board Whitmore. We're going to see if he's going to come by. That's Tony Durbin up there. And it looks like Tony Durbin is going to beat Whitmore out of the pits. So Tony Durbin's strategy appeared to be the one to be on. Whitmore apparently pitted too early. So this could bite Whitmore later in the race. We'll have to see. Well, it's biting him right now because he's not leading. And here they come by the stripe. Tony Durbin holds a fairly solid lead at this point. Mike Whitmore currently in second. There's still a couple of cars that haven't stopped yet. By that, I mean Tom Delgado. He's still staying out. Of course, one lap here around Road America is about 2 minutes, so this is a considerable length of time here. Stephanie McGlynn in car 37 is going to give Alexis Rainsford a bit of a smoke screen. However, that's also called a gearbox problem, and Stephanie McGlynn goes out of the race. And car 37 is going to go out. This is one of McGlynn's better runs so far. This is going to be her 7th DNF of the year. It's not good. That's almost one for every 2 races. Kind of reminiscent of a Stephanie McGlynn we saw a few years ago. Tony Durbin in the lead. Mike Whitmore in second. Kurt Pliskin back there, not a factor. And that's Ethan Everett going a lap down. All that damage to the right front is apparently not repairable, and that's obviously done some rather serious suspension damage. Everett way off the pace. You'll notice back there in 5th, Alexis Rainsford. There's Yamino Tenchi and Tom Delgado, 7th and 8th. So the Nomoto guys are really, Nomoto guys and girls are really working their way through the field. Scott Bates, there is Krikorian. Alexander moved up to 16th. Vladimir Simonov, 15th. Kazuyama, 14th. Chris Johans back in 18th. The Arla champion, and then, of course, Charlie Waters doing everything he can to stay in front of Michael Sykes in the 144. Here's Tony Durbin as he's just gotten around Leonid Roderick, and is something gone wrong? Is something wrong? Yes, there's a problem with Durbin's car! There goes Whitmore in the 20. Tony Durbin has some kind of problem with the 33 car. We think it's a flat tire. And yes, it is. Tony Durbin's going to have to pull that car into the pits. He's going to lose loads of time. Oh, that's got to be heartbreaking. Mike Whitmore, in the meantime, is going to skate away with this one, it looks like. Lewis Kingston is now in P2. Mike Whitmore pits on lap 25. So Mike Whitmore into the pits in the Tremwell. There goes Kingston by. Kingston stopping 1 lap later. And Lewis Kingston has actually been slowly reeling in Mike Whitmore. There's Marcus Leonard, who's reeling both of them in. And Leon Kennison has been right on Marcus Leonard's tail, and so is Alexis Rainsford in the pink car. Scott Bates into the pits. And there goes the rest of the field. There comes, I think that's Everett that just went by, along with Taub. There's Simonov and Alexander. And here's everyone that pits on lap 26, led by Lewis Kingston. And waiting for everyone else. Any takers, lap 26, into the pits. Tom Delgado, 837 car, stopping a little earlier than he has before. Apparently he's abandoning his riskier fuel strategy. There is Bouvier in the 59. There's a Stoyler, but he's not in the lead lap. There's Chris Johans right behind him. Kurt Pliskin not in the lead lap in the yellow car right there. There goes Mike Whitmore by on the sign on the left. And now here we are back with Julian Alexander. This is an Independence Trophy entry for the Alex Harrison team. The Champ Car commentator is actually doing a very good job right now. He's been very competitive on these longer road courses. Of course, Alexander, a somewhat accomplished sports car driver from Great Britain, and he's doing very well so far today. He's earned a lot of people's respect in this Omeka MA01, car that we didn't actually think he would run. We thought that he would bring the Fortner to this track, but clearly Alexander chose, no, I'm going with the Omeka. I'm more familiar with this car. Obviously, that was a good move. He did very well, won the qualifying race, and here he is. Oh, Simonov making a move. Oh, he just changed pictures right there. Scott Bates in the 88 car also having a very good run in this EFR journey. It appears that bigger tracks seem to suit Scott Bates' style. Whether they're road courses or ovals, it doesn't seem to matter. The longer the track, the faster he gets. Very interesting driving there. But Scott Bates having one of his strongest runs of the year in what we believe is a somewhat underpowered car. Tony Durbin is off the lead lap. That is Marcus Leonard we're focused on in the silver and teal 999 machine. So Marcus having probably his strongest run of the year so far. Here he comes inside of Durbin to put Durbin a lap down. Tony's going to move out of the way. He's not going to give Marcus Leonard any trouble in the 999 car, even though Leonard is actually contending for the championship. Ian Cooper, probably the least courteous back marker out there right now. In the closing laps of the race, he's actually going to cost Mike Whitmore significant amounts of time, and he's fighting back on the outside of Canada Corner. I've never seen that done before. Wow! Cooper had been putting under pressure. They're going to put him a lap down. Cooper says, no, you're staying a lap down. But Cooper eventually has to give up the spot. Cost Whitmore tons of time to Lewis Kingston. However, he's costing the 44 car a lot of time as well. So, looks like he's not playing favorites. We thought that Cooper was actually going to hold up Whitmore so that Kingston could catch him, because we know that Ian Cooper and Lewis Kingston are good friends off the racetrack. Clearly, they're not good friends on the racetrack right now, because Cooper is costing Kingston loads of time. Oh boy, at least he's not playing favorites. Mike Whitmore in the 20 car is going to be leading with just 2 laps to go. He's got a fairly big lead over the 44 car of Kingston, and it looks like he might have his second Master Cup Series win right under... did I see a puff of smoke coming out? Yes! There's problems with Whitmore's car! Tony Durbin and Mike Whitmore get the same parts, just that the chassis is a little different. But Mike Whitmore is going to have trouble too after leading the most laps of the race. Whitmore is going to stall the 20 car. We're not sure why, but he might have run that car out of fuel. Lewis Kingston, in the meantime, this has got to be the luckiest thing that's ever happened to him. He's going to walk away with his second career Master Cup Series win. And that is what reliability can do for you. Oh boy, Lewis Kingston very happy that he just scored win number 2 of his TM Master Cup Series career, and his first for the Flash Racing team. Fantastic job by Kingston to actually keep, everything working. Here's Leon Kennison. This is the last lap. He's going to cross the line in 3rd. He's got a problem, and he pulls into the pits. Attention, Leon. That's coming to get the checkered flag. Stay on the racetrack. That's why you finished 5th. That's an interesting piece of brain fade. At least it didn't cost him that many positions. Alexis Rainsford inherits 3rd place, gets 3 extra points. Tom Delgado gets 4th. A very good run for him. Leon Keniston, of course, a very odd mistake. I should also mention Marcus Leonard up there in 2nd. Marcus Leonard still knocking on the door for that first career win. Scott Bates in the 88 car stormed through the field to get 6th. David Krikorian in 7th. Best run for him, I think, all year. Matthias Taub in 8th. Jacques Bouvier, a solid 9th. And Azuma Kazuyama in 10th. You have to wonder, though, was this too little too late to save Azuma Kazuyama's drive for next year? We'll have to see about that. Anyway, here are the points leaving Elkhart Lake and Road America. Alexis Rainsford moves to the top of the points charts with exactly 1,000 points. Alan Hodges sits 2nd. Adrian Devereaux in the 26 car in 3rd. Boy, that was damage control for both Hodges and Devereaux. Today could have been so much worse, but due to, well, pretty much most of the other championship contenders self-destructing at some point or another, they don't lose that much ground, and they're both still in touch. However, all the chaos puts Marcus Leonard as a legitimate contender for the championship. Tony Durbin loses a bit of ground on a day that could have been a fantastic day for him. Unfortunately, not to be. Drew Eisenman in the 31 also is going to lose some ground after contact earlier in the race. Leonid Roderick sits in 7th. Bouvier 8th. Arto Kekkonen. Troubles with Devereaux put him in 9th. And as we saw, there could be a penalty heading for either Adrian Devereaux or Arto Kekkonen sometime later this week. They did have a rather interesting conversation behind the wall, which Adrian Devereaux described as talking very loudly. We'll have to see about that. And Ethan Everett, after that very dodgy start, still holds on to the 10th place in the point standings. And here is 11 through 20, headed up by Chris Johans and his Camelot Racing teammate, Scott Stoidler. Bit of a gap between those two. Scott Bates sits 13th. Tom Delgado and Leon Keniston are slowly rising towards the top of the points chart. So Tom Delgado making a fantastic late season charge. Leon Keniston as well. Kurt Pliskin, not exactly what he was looking for. Ditto Zelda Ashby, who had a very anonymous race. Didn't do a whole lot of substance, really. Got involved in that first corner tangle up. Matt Taylor got taken out early. Yumino Tenchi didn't have the day she was looking for, but car 831 is still doing a very good job out there with Tenchi driving. And Dale Roswell, the old-timer, still able to get himself into the top 20 in the point standings. A very good job considering Dale Roswell is well into his 60s now, 63 years old. And here are the Independence Trophy standings. Michael Sykes only adds 20 points to his Independence Trophy bid after finishing 14th today. Craig Yonser comes home second, Neil Stallone in third. Charlie Waters jumps all the way up to fourth in the Independence Trophy. Colin Evans the fifth, Todd Arsic, Cyrus Laterza, then Julian Alexander in the zero. Allie Riggs, remember, received a couple of rather hefty penalties after the round of Quincy after contact with Ethan Everett that not everybody thought were completely deserving. And of course, Leigh Gruelle in the Xenos rounds out the top 10 in the Independence Trophy.